And then now I will invite Maciej Karczewski from Windtak, Poland, to make a country report from Poland. Please, Maciej.
Okay, hello everyone. I'm Maciej Karczewski from Windtak from Poland. Just give me a second to share the screen with you, and I'll start the presentation. I hope you can see the screen. Okay, so I'm an ex-academic, and I was presenting last year, exactly a year ago, during the first international conference in Folkecenter, and thank you for inviting me to present on the wind conditions in Poland, the wind industry in Poland, and maybe a word about the company, because with a business partner of mine, we set up a company nearly a year ago, and what we do today after leaving the academia is light retrofitting upgrades, and we use additive manufacturing to produce them, and these upgrades perhaps are known to some of you. There are vortex generators seen on the left, and they can increase efficiency up to 2% in terms of annual energy production. That means actually a lot in a country as Poland, where a prohibitive high, the renewable energy sources bill is prohibiting the installation of new turbines, at least since 2016. There are also serrations which have an impact on turbine noise, especially in areas close to where communities live, or where you have to change the production overnight or for the night time. And the winglets, which we are developing at the moment, which obviously can be a revolution in terms of the efficiency boost, but that's the most difficult part. We are looking into using sensors for the vortex and generators, but I'll be glad to talk about it maybe in the afternoon, or please contact me if you would like more information on our products and services. Okay, now moving to the presentation about Poland, a few words about the past need to be given. Energy mix in Poland is dominated by hard coal and lignite, and you can see that on the graphics that's well over 75%, so 3/4 of the energy comes from these two sources. And I think it was already shown here in the conference that Poland has a lot to change. Obviously, it's not easy in a country coming from communistic era that we had right after World War II, and a completely different philosophy of development of country. But things are changing, and you can see that the wind farms are becoming increasingly important, and we are moving towards the green energy. Obviously, there is also a push towards photovoltaics, but in a smaller scale, and the conventional power plants that are based on steam power plants are being changed by gas-fired and combined heat cycles today. As far as the wind sector in Poland, there has been a stagnation in large wind. So the wind that is actually defined as 500 kilowatts or more in Poland. And that is because of the implementation of the Renewable Energy Sources Bill in 2016. That effectively curbed the amount of new installations, putting in place the 10H rule. 10H rule means that you are not allowed to build new turbines within the 10 heights, maximum heights of the wind turbine around it. So that actually meant that we stopped all the development activities, and you see the in the recent 3 years presented on the graph. The market is dominated by the Vestas turbines. These are predominantly 2 megawatt turbines. Vestas V90 machine, very popular actually. There's some Siemens or Siemens Gamesa, which are about 30%, some General Electric, and a number of the other ones close to 40%. Some of them are many popular turbines such as Enercons are also placed in Poland. And the market is back now since actually very late 2018 we had the first wind auction, first successful wind auction. And the numbers have been just given for the 2019. We are up 6,400 megawatts after 2019, which is a big jump. The present times, I'll start with the small wind, which might be interesting for probably all of us here at the conference. But the news are not great, as you might imagine. There is not a lot happening in a small wind. Small wind actually in Poland is defined as wind harvesting machines between 50 and 500 kilowatts. And there is an energy regulatory office that is obliged to collect the data on all the sources of energy that fall into this category. And you see that wind between the years 2017 and 2018 has risen a bit, but not particularly because a lot of new installations appeared. First of all, 2018 has been a good year in terms of wind energy in Poland. And I checked it just yesterday, the reports, there was literally maybe few wind turbines placed in Poland between 2017 and 2018. So that jump is not due to some massive installations, but rather the wind energy increase during that last year. 2 years ago. The 2019 data has not been released, but you do see that photovoltaics is actually taking over the small capacities here, which I think is a trend observed in many other countries. The onshore wind at present, as I already mentioned, is showing a revival. You see here a plot showing you the 2019 auctions that were commenced in December last year, so really 4 or 5 months ago. And you can see that out of some of the technologies that were allowed, or actually that were bidders, were offering energies on the national trade and power exchange market. Only the big wind and big photovoltaics over 1 megawatt has been successful and significantly suppressed all the other technologies. You can see the small wind there, 803 megawatts were placed, but because this is together in a basket with photovoltaics, then you can imagine that 803 megawatts was actually all photovoltaic projects that were given this government an allowance. The prices at the moment, you can see the prices from 2018, they didn't change much since 2018, and the 2019 auction prices were quite similar. And this is now the wind, the big wind is the cheapest source of energy in Poland, with some of the bidders offering the energy at 37 euro per megawatt hour, which is one of the cheapest prices I've seen in Europe through wind energy reports. Now, we're also looking into offshore wind. This is a big topic in Poland at the moment. The exclusive economic zone of Polish coast and the Baltic Sea, the part of Baltic Sea you see on this plot. This is quite a complicated plot in terms of what's going on it. I'll try to explain what you see. So you see the sea depth given by this background color, obviously with the dark blue, meaning the deepest areas over 100 meters deep. and then the other colors appropriately up to 0 meters. And you see three areas of offshore wind farms. One, the biggest one, which is here in the middle of this plot, is now under a big consultation program of entire industry, because here the first offshore wind farms will appear in as soon as actually as 5 years from now, in 2025. And the total capacity for offshore in Poland is one of the largest in Baltic Sea, totaling some say up to 10 gigawatts of energy. But the permissions and the consent, the authorized consent to build offshore bottom-fixed wind farms has been given to 7.1 gigawatts worth of projects. The biggest companies, Polenergia and PGE Baltica, are the farthest in this process, and they teamed up with Norwegian Equinor and Danish Ørsted to build these offshore wind farms. The market size is quite big, so we are seeing a big revival of that part of the industry sector at the moment, and a lot of attention actually from Western Europe and from other countries. So some more about it in this slide, showing exactly which offshore wind farms will be seeing the development and installation as soon as 2025, as I said, and then up to 2030, some more installations will happen for a total of 6 gigawatts with Polenergia and PGE Baltica, as I mentioned, winning the race at the moment, so to say. Oops. So far. So an important aspect of what's ahead of us in Poland is our problems with smog, with the small particles that are in the air. I prepared a map here that was actually presented by Berkeley Earth some time ago, but it clearly shows that the new wall we used to have during the communist times, we used to have a wall between the Eastern European countries and the Western European countries, but it seems that we have a new wall which clearly shows the impact of renewable energy and the clean technologies in the Western Europe is literally giving you better air with the low content of the PM2.5 and PM10 particles in the air, whereas in Poland we have one of the worst air qualities in the entire Europe. So this has been raised since 3, 4, maybe even 5 years, and it's getting through the public, and the public is pushing these changes, is making the people empowered to act. So here's a slide showing the public acceptance of wind power and other electricity production technologies. From the left to right, you can see nuclear power plants, wind farms on shore, offshore wind farms, biomass power plants, and the conventional coal-fired power plants. And with the color coding given below, the greenest is the highest appreciation from the public, and blue means 1. So people think that this is a very bad electricity production method. And you see that the onshore wind is seeing more than 50% of positive public response to that technology. And that's even more in terms of offshore wind farms, nearly 70, nearly 80% actually, 77% of public is positively geared towards the wind energy, whereas obviously coal-fired power plants are seeing a decrease in that these particular numbers. Now, because of that, there's been a big talk about national energy plans, and we see that, for example, Polish Wind Energy Association has been preparing also some scenarios for the energy and the energy mix prognosis up to 2040. I'm just presenting one of them. The government scenario is given in the dark colors here, dark vertical bars, and the Polish Wind Energy Association scenario is showing the alternative, and in the winter package that Poland is obliged to go by sets the renewable energy sources target by 2030 up to just over 32%. So only the scenario which allows more renewable energy, more wind into the energy mix is giving us a chance to reach that target. The government is not really so optimistic about it. They're sticking to some other energy mix forms that you can see today. So conventional power plants are not to be stopped so quickly. So here's the prices that you see together with these two scenarios. And as you might imagine, the more green energy in the mix, the lower the price. The prices are given by these by the lines here, and the value of the electricity price is on the right. So only with the renewable energy scenario in the mix, increasing the share of renewable energies in the energy mix, we are able to control the price, actually diminish it. In the other scenario, the governmental scenario, that price actually is rising. And there is also talk about impact on the grid of wind sources and photovoltaics. On the left, you can see a study done by Lublin, which shows the grid in Poland, and the wind onshore and wind offshore, and you see how much electricity is planned for 2030 from these sources, and you see also the plot, the normalized plot of the power required from conventional plants, only the conventional plants in the energy mix. So what we are raising as a wind energy enthusiast is that the renewable energy sources will have to be switched off only for 220 hours a year, whereas people are saying that these resources will have to actually be eliminated for a much longer time.
Maciej, you'll have another 2 minutes. We are behind the schedule.
Okay. Thank you, Morten. I'll be getting to the end. So we had a national energy and climate plan. We've seen today in one of the presentations, the Polish plan looks the following. And you see that wind is increasing. This is this dark green share on the plot. But this is the wind onshore and offshore combined here. The gas and coal power plants are not to be eliminated. As you see, they will still be a backbone. We have some plans for nuclear power plants as well, but many people doubt that this will actually happen. And we are looking into the sector-wise development of offshore wind and the distributed wind. There's been a lot of organizations, business parks, clusters, competence centers, and NGOs identified by Polish government, by Polish institutions, which will be employed to work on the distributed energy technologies and offshore wind. There's also a talk about distributed wind technology onshore, and that's mainly concerns energy clusters. But then there's a lot of problems here that you need to look at: load profiling and hybrid energy storage. And last but not least are the outlooks onshore for 2024, where you see these islands of energy that the Polish government has already ordered. The distributed wind technologies, or any distributed technologies below 500 kilowatts, will be connected to 110 kilovolt lines. And you see that there's actually a lot of these numbers appearing here. So there is an opportunity to come in and work with distributed wind in Poland. So challenges for Poland are support mechanism maintained in terms of auctions beyond 2021. Obviously, we are vouching for the removal of the 10H rule from the bill. Existing wind turbine generators must be permitted to be built up to 2024 with the pandemic as well. And obviously the consolidation of Polish industry to increase the supply chain for offshore. And just three more points. We need to adopt the offshore wind bill in 2021. We've been actually very strongly looking to support the connection of Poland, or the joining of Poland to IEA wind. This has not happened yet. And obviously for the distributed wind market, we need retrofitting and repowering of existing sources, increased social acceptance, and obviously we hope for legislative stability. Thank you very much.
There's no sound on Morten.
What I was saying was, thank you very much, Maciej. I suppose that big wind is the only in Poland right now, since small wind has not been mentioned. But I would also say, as we are a bit behind the schedule, these questions which might be about the Polish situation, please write them down so we can use it in the afternoon.